Raza Rumi is a policy analyst and author from Pakistan. He also teaches at Cornell University. He's the editor at the Daily Times of Pakistan. By some accounts, this was a flimsy case against Bibi to begin with. The actual complaint wasn't filed until 5 days after the alleged incident. There were also gaps in evidence. Why do you think the case went forward, and why do you think it took so long to overturn this conviction?
Well, the case, as you rightly said, was filed much later and was a result of a kind of a local dispute, because a large number of Christians in Pakistan belong to the working class, and therefore they have a low social status anyway. And she was a farm worker, Asia Bibi, and the case, was drummed up by the local clerics and the mullahs who are always looking for opportunities to somehow make use of the blasphemy laws. And the reason that it dragged on is because Pakistan's courts and judges and lawyers and prosecutors are afraid of the mullah power, as we are seeing now after her acquittal. Many cities have come to a standstill. There are protests going on, and there are clashes reported. And it's a very sensitive situation because of the perceived sort of nature of this entire law and the insult to Holy Prophet, peace be upon him.
And as you rightly point out, I mean, and as Daniel Kahn's report shows, I mean, the reactions have ranged. Some are applauding the ruling, and as you point out, others angry, taking to the streets. How will this shake out in Pakistan? What are going to be the long-term impacts of this ruling?
Yes, certainly. I mean, there are definitely a lot of liberal and moderate Pakistanis have, breathed a sigh of relief because the blasphemy laws have been abused for so long. And Asia Bibi's case was this completely, a miscarriage of justice. In fact, the former governor of Punjab province was gunned down because he stood up for her rights. And then another minister for minority rights, Shahbaz Bhatti, was also killed by the Taliban because he was wanting to amend the blasphemy laws or at least have a discussion about them. So, it's a very charged environment. But what is now happening is that basically there is a polarization, and this, although one must say that these extremists are not the majority of Pakistanis, there are small mobilized lunatic fringe. But they have the street power. They are kind of drunk on their vision or their belief that some kind of injury or insult has happened, and they are willing to sacrifice their lives. So in the short term, there will be some violence, but I think the statements from the Prime Minister, from the military, are very reassuring. They have very clearly said that they want the writ of the state to be established, and those who are going to take law into their hands will be dealt with very firmly. So there will be some more tension, and I hope not some violence in the short term, but in the long term, obviously, if the government overcomes this particular moment, then Pakistan may have chosen a new direction for its future, where such abuse of blasphemy laws will not take place that easily, and the power of the clerics on the streets would have been curtailed for to some degree. But let's see what happens in the next 24 to 48 hours.
It's interesting, though, the final paragraph in the High Court's ruling quoted the Prophet Muhammad to try and drive home their point. I don't suspect that's going to mollify the fringe elements, though, is it?
No, unfortunately not, because they already are so. Because you see, this is also a political tool. This party which is protesting, it came into being last year, and sadly, elements within the Pakistani government encouraged its formation and its mobilization because Pakistan was going in the election season, and they thought that politicking on the basis of religion was always kind of useful. But now it's a genie that has come out of the bottle, and certainly this is not so much about religion or faith, but it's more to do with political power and the assertion of clerics, influence in the society. So yes, it will take some time to roll back this sentiment, and it has to be handled very carefully, I suppose, by the government. And the Supreme Court judgment very clearly lays the path for the future, that such abuse, flagrant abuse of blasphemy laws and persecuting non-Muslims in a Muslim country is against the teachings of Islam.
Raza Rumi joining us from Ithaca, New York. Thanks so much.